While One Piece's story has evolved over the decades to become extremely long and complex, at the heart of it, the basic focal point remains the same as day one. One boy's quest to become the king of the pirates. But consider that basic goal for a moment. Becoming king. The idea of kings is a prominent fixation in fiction. We love the idea of kings and queens in stories, but interestingly there are almost no works of fiction where you have a good-natured, kind-hearted protagonist whose primary goal from the start of the story is to become king. There are stories where the hero is a king from the start, stories where the hero ends up being made king by popular demand of the people, stories where the hero is born royalty and they were ultimately destined to become king, and there are stories where the hero is born royalty but has to fight to take back their kingdom. But ultimately, any story that involves the hero becoming king, we need to see some sort of justification for it. Simply wanting to be the king just for the sake of being king seems like an almost selfish, power-hungry goal that heroes aren't supposed to blatantly have without some sort of extra reason. In theory, it doesn't make for a likable protagonist. But in One Piece, our young, simple-minded, good-natured hero setting out from his little village has the outright shameless goal that he wants to be king. So why does this work in One Piece? Luffy doesn't have some sort of noble reason for becoming Pirate King like a protagonist is supposed to have. He initially wanted to be king simply out of a childlike determination to prove himself to Shanks. Yet not once do we ever consider Luffy a bad or selfish person because of this, since Oda effectively writes Luffy as the most innocent, kind-hearted individual one could possibly imagine. Even when we realize that being Pirate King means not only being king of the pirates, but the king of the seas, we still do not fault Luffy for wanting this title. Now as the story progresses, so too does our understanding of what king means in the context of One Piece. In One Piece, to have the qualities of a king has little to do with being a good ruler. Luffy doesn't actually have the standard qualities of a good fictional king, in that he'd be a terrible ruler. Yes, he's a great captain in certain situations, but aside from that, he generally lacks common sense and even basic intelligence. But in One Piece, that's not what being king is about. It's about having the disposition to not be ruled by anyone, to stand above everyone else. It's about strength of will and possessing a unique spirit that others recognize and follow. Luffy does embody this concept, and he pursues something even further, which is Pirate King, a king that stands above all other kings. Why does Luffy pursue this ideal, and why do we love him for it? Hundreds of chapters in, we realize the deeper reason for Luffy's goal. The One Piece world is filled with oppression and injustice, ruled by false royalty who lack the true disposition of kings. Luffy's not fit to rule anything, and he doesn't want to rule anything. That's why he gets a pass for wanting to be king. He understands the harsh nature of his world, and he understands that the only way to be truly free is to stand at the top of it all, to be the king. And he wants to stand so far above it all that he never loses anyone he cares about. As such, the meaning of king, and particularly Pirate King in this story, is just someone with such power and ambition that they are able to stand above all the pain, the suffering, and the cruelty in the world, and just be able to be free. Now with that in mind, consider the trick that Oda has pulled off. In most stories where we have a hero king, it is because they fulfill a fictional ideal of a noble savior, so renowned and beloved by the people for conquering all evil and defending the innocent that they are deserving of the title as the people's leader. Now as we've established in One Piece, our hero Luffy isn't trying to become king in that traditional sense. He just wants to be king so that he can live his life with absolute freedom. It's a self-driven goal. Yet we are slowly seeing that in that quest for Luffy's concept of a king, in that quest for freedom, he is simultaneously fulfilling the more traditional version of that fictional heroic king. Without even meaning to, he is becoming that savior, that hero the world needs, the one who conquers all evil, defends the innocent, and the one who leads the world into a new dawn. If you like this video, then feel free to subscribe for more content every week.